Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back with the fourth and final part of questions you asked for Celtic fans. Hope you enjoy it, especially Celtic fans and fans of football, in particular fans of Scottish football. Kitten is a nightmare. He didn't want to be in the picture. You can probably tell he was trying to get away, but I really wanted him to be in the picture for people to enjoy, hopefully. But yeah, I felt a bit bad trying to put him in the picture and force him. But yeah, he's a bit camera shy for some reason. But normally he's quite a poser, but you can probably hear him playing with his little ping pong ball, or whatever it's called, whatever the thing's called, which my cousin got him. But anyway, I also hope you like the Minions mug. But anyway, I'm going to try and stop waffling, and yeah, so here goes. So obviously parts 1 to 3, I covered ideas number 1 to 30, so this is going to be 31 to 40. So here goes. So yeah, I hope I can come up with that many ideas. I did try and think of it last night, but I couldn't sleep at all last night, hardly at all. And then when I was going to wake up at like 6 o'clock or something, or 7 o'clock, but then afterwards I fell asleep for so long, and I didn't get out of bed until like 9 or half 9. So it's a bit of a nightmare. But anywho, I'm a bit of a night owl. Unfortunately, I'm not so good with mornings normally, but it fluctuates. Sometimes I can be, but I suppose I often think of like really negative stuff at night, and like embarrassing moments and stuff like that. But hopefully this won't be one of them, or cringeworthy moments. But yeah, I worry whether people like my videos, for instance, and things like that. But anyway, I'm going to try and stop waffling. Here goes. So number 31, I would love to know what people think of the idea. Celtic fans, what do you think of the idea of, like, apparently Michael Owen is a Celtic fan. In fact, I now remember what I was going to ask first of all, which is number 31. Who is your favourite Celtic fan, especially like famous Celtic fan? I mean, some people might say like a family member might be your favourite Celtic fan, or yourself, if you're a bit more egotistical. But I'd love to know, especially famous Celtic fans. So I'd love to know who your favourite is. Like people say Snoop Dogg is a Celtic fan. I mean, Snoop Dogg says he's a Celtic fan, but some people say he seems to like so many different teams. Fair enough. I mean, I love all the Italian teams and Celtic, but some people say he jumps on the bandwagon, so I'm not sure if that's true, or if he's a genuine Celtic fan or not. But like some might say Rod Stewart. I mean, maybe not all Celtic fans like him, because the Green Brigade had like something saying Tories not welcome, things like that, unfortunately. So I think that was a shame, like some of the division. But who is your favourite? Getting to the point, who is your favourite Celtic fan? And it could, again, be yourself, or if you're egotistical, even if you want to say, or for a joke, you want to say yourself, or it could be something you put as a joke. But all comments welcome as ever. But so yeah, who is your favourite Celtic fan? And even if it's not necessarily a famous person, even if it's like a family member, but especially, I'd especially love to read famous Celtic fans, like who are your favourite famous Celtic fans, especially. Or you could even put yourself for a joke, and then your family member, and then a famous one as well. So anyway, yeah, I'd love to read that. Number 32, what do you think of the idea of the Michael Owen? Apparently Michael Owen is a Celtic fan, so I'd love to know what you think of the idea of like Michael Owen having the Michael Owen CSC Celtic Sports Clubs. CSC obviously being an acronym for Celtic Sports Clubs. I'm sure most Celtic fans will know that. And also the Michael Owen Celtic FC Academy. I'd love to know what people think about that. Number 33, also other famous Celtic fans, especially football, or former football Celtic fans, such as apparently again Wayne Rooney is another Celtic fan. So I wonder what you think of the idea of the Wayne Rooney Celtic Sports Clubs and academies and things like that. And which ones do you think are important? I think it's hard to say actually where the football academies or sports clubs are important. I suppose I'm asking more than one question for each point. Number 34, can you name any other famous Celtic supporters? And do you think a lot of these people are just jumping on the bandwagon, or do you think they are actually Celtic supporters, Celtic fans? I've got my long one. Number 35, what other Celtic supporting clubs and academies would you like to see? Like, I'll say there could be the Lewis Capaldi. I know he definitely says he's a Celtic fan, but there could be the Lewis Capaldi Celtic sports clubs. I'm sure there already are some Lewis Capaldi Celtic sports clubs. Maybe there could be even more there. And also Lewis Capaldi Celtic academies and that sort of thing. Number 36. So I don't know if Michael Owen and Wayne Rooney. I think Wayne Rooney was spotted at Celtic game with the Celtic kit, and I think he's of Irish roots, so that'll probably explain a lot. But also, I heard that Michael Owen is a Celtic fan, but I'm not sure if that's true. But I'd love to know if you know of any other former footballers who are Celtic fans. And once again, what do you think of I know I did ask this question before, but what do you think of the idea of Italian football and Celtic having a connection, especially at youth level, so they can help each other's practice? So Celtic could help. Celtic could help Italian football to improve at national level, helping Italy to be as successful as possible at the national level, and also at the national level, and also at club team level, like Serie A, and even grassroots and lower league teams as well. They can practice together, especially at youth level, as I say, and have little friendly tournaments with each other to help each other practice again, especially at youth level. But also, what do you think of, and also the other way around, so Italian teams helping them. So I'd love to know what you think about that idea of that partnership. Number 37, what if all former players as well also had their own sports clubs and academies? I know most of them probably do have sports clubs in there, or at least. But what if they helped to fund such sports clubs to help to promote the brand of Celtic around the world, as well as having academies? Again, that could help not only promote the brand, but also obviously develop young players around the world for Celtic for the future. So some of them could go on to play for Celtic and hopefully do well, and some of them could be sold on and the club could make profit from them, which would help for further youth development and things like that, building the club in the future, or hopefully even both in many cases. Like from a young age they'll play for Celtic, and then hopefully if the club does sell them on, we'll make money from them as well. It's a business after all, and hopefully they'll have good careers for their newer teams, for their new teams they move on to. So I think we should wish them well, as I normally like to wish people well. But yeah, also if the club has money, I know I mentioned this point before, but if the club has money, it could hold on to some of the younger players like Karamoko Dembele, who is I think he's from Scotland. He played for Scotland at youth level. He was a really good player. As far as I'm aware, I don't know what he's doing at the moment, but I'm sure he was a really good player for his age group. I don't know if he's fallen off the radar a bit, but not sure what he's doing at the moment. But the club didn't seem to utilise his talents as well and bring him through to the adult level, to the senior level. So I wonder if he got sold on, or if he got injuries or whatever, and he's not reached his full potential. I'm not sure, but if anyone keep me updated on that as well. What is the progress? With Karamoko Dembele and other former youth players or current youth players, and what's the state of Celtic's youth development? Can it be improved? I'd love to know those sorts of things. Number 38, what other Celtic supports clubs and youth academies and setups and training centres would you like to see, and what do you think? What are some good ideas, do you think, for improving, youth development as well as player recruitment? And also, could Celtic have a better scouting team as well? So as well as developing our own youth players, the club could also have a combination of buying better, more experienced players from other clubs, but also developing our own younger players, which I think is sensible as well, which is probably more feasible, because I mean, building an academy, for instance, probably is cheaper than buying a player nowadays in many cases. And I don't know how much it would cost, to be honest with you, to set up an academy, but it probably depends how big it is, obviously, and all that kind of thing. But I'm sure it's generally cheaper, and you can train a lot of players rather than just buy one or two. But I think because football fans are not the most impatient, especially not myself, especially not myself, I'm very impatient. I want to see immediate success as well as long term. Teams don't always develop young players, but I'd love to know how the scouting team, youth development teams, things like that could do better. God knows where the kitten's gone. Number 39, do you have any other thoughts or ideas on Celtic, and again, how it can improve? How important do you think youth development is? How important do you think scouting and recruitment is? and where do you think the club should reinvest its time, its attention, time, money, effort, energy, and whatnot, and whatever money and resources it has. As I say, ATM, attention, time, and money, but also effort and energy. Where should the club spend that? Like, how much of it should it spend on youth development? How much on recruitment, scouting, and all that kind of thing? Could this club have a better scouting system, or better scouts, or things like that? And I know Peter Lowell. So some people call him Peter Paidwell, or Peter what's the other one? Peter Lywell. So when in the infamous 10-0 season, when he didn't reinvest beforehand, and Celtic didn't manage to win that, so he got a lot of the blame. So funny little kid. I think now he wants to be in the video, but anywho, yeah. So what do you think the club could improve upon in terms of scouting as well, recruitment and youth development? And again, I know I said before, but I would love to see 10% be reinvested, 10% of whatever revenue the club gets, or at least whatever profit the club gets, being reinvested into player recruitment, scouting, and things like that, bringing even better players. 10% into youth development, and 10% into marketing, and half of that, which would be 5% of the overall total, would be for supports clubs, Celtic supports clubs, which would be part of marketing and branding, and then 10% to the foundation, I almost forgot, and then the rest, the 60% left over, could go towards shareholders, equity holders, and whatnot. But I'd love to know if you think that's a naive idea, or you do it differently, or what percentages you would have, or would you have a specific percentage? I think that's quite an organised way of doing it as well. Or would you do things differently, and would you invest different amounts? Like, would you invest more in youth development or more in recruitment, or whatnot? So yeah, is it naive to have the same amount for each of those things? But I think, because to me, I think all of them are quite important, almost equally important. But yeah, I'd love to know what you think, any Celtic fans out there. And number 40, are there any questions you would love to ask the club? And again, how can the club connect with and ask questions to the fans, and get the fans' views? I think it'd be cool if they had opinion polls, again, as I said before, like on their website and on YouTube and other forms of social media, and wherever they can. I'm sure there were some other things I was going to say, but I completely forgot. Anyway, I'm out. Peace out.